Parshas Noach contains a few very epic stories. Chief among them is the story of the flood. There's also the story of the Haflaga, sometimes known as the Tower of Babel, Migdal Babel. We have to ask ourselves, what really was going on there? What was so bad about Migdal Babel that this occupies a role of prominence, and especially here in this Parsha? So, to summarize, the Torah begins. This is Perek Yud Aleph, Pasuk Aleph, 11:1 in Bereshis. The whole of the earth was of one language and of one speech. And as the people moved, journeyed east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they said, let's make bricks and burn them. And they said, let's build us a city, a tower, with its top in heaven. Let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And then the consequences are that Hashem came and he said, Hashem said, behold, they are one people, they have one language, this is what they began to do, and now nothing will be withheld from them which they propose to do. Come, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So Hashem scattered them abroad, and from there on the face of the whole earth, and they left off they stopped building the city. And it was called Babel, because the Lord there did confound the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord did scatter them upon the face of the earth. What in the world is going on? And what's the fear? First of all, were they challenging God by building a tower in the heavens? What does it mean they were building a tower in the heavens? Well, we know, for example, that is a way that the Torah describes really big structures in Devarim, Sefer Devarim, first Perek, chapter 1, verse 28, Pasuk 28, it says, Ana anachnu olim achenu heimasu Soloveichik lemor, Am gadol v'ram imenu arim gadolos uv'tzuros bashomayim. This is talking about the perception of the scouts or the spies when they went to check out the land of Israel. Said, where are we going up? Our brothers have made our heart to melt, saying, the people are greater and taller than we. The cities are great and fortified up to the sky. B'tzuros bashomayim. So what exactly is the issue here when we say, Nivne lanu ir migdal v'rosho bashamayim? Let's build a city and a tower, and its head will be in the skies. What's the problem with a city and a tower with its head in the skies? So some say that this is an allusion to challenging HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Rashbam, it's not in all editions, it's in brackets. Rabbi Soloveichik points this out. He says, Lefi Pshat, ma chotu dor Haflaga. According to the simple explanation, what was this sin? What was the grievous sin of the generation of the dispersion, the dor Haflaga? Im mipnei she'amu v'rosha b'shamayim ha'koso v'ros arim gedolos v'tzos ha'shamayim. This characterization of tall buildings, we even call them, in our language, skyscrapers. They reached the sky. They scraped the sky. So that can't possibly, says the Rashbam, have been their transgression. Ella, here's the key, says the Rashbam. Lefi shetzivam HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Almighty had commanded them, Peru, Uravu, Umil'u es ha'aretz. Be fruitful, multiply, and fill up the earth. The Haim, and what did they choose to do? Haim bacharu lahem makom losheves sham. They chose one place to sit there. Va'amru penafutz, we might get scattered. Lefikach hefitzam misham b'gzerosam. Therefore, the Almighty scattered them in His decree. Now, what exactly does this mean? Even this Rashban, the Rashban is like the super pashtan. He gives the simple explanation. He makes Rashi look like a mystic. He happened to have been Rashi's grandson. And so, what exactly is the Rashban saying? So Ahron Soloveichik reads it as follows. This explanation can be found in Rav Ahron's Sefer on Chumash, or at least the first two Sfarim, Bereshis and Shemos, called The Warmth and the Light. So, Rav Ahron says, from the time of creation, Hashem wanted man to conquer all the world, he says, V'kivshua, and to spread throughout the whole of it, as he told Adam Arishon, to fill the world, Adam, to fill the world and conquer it. But he did not will strict uniformity. That is the problem here. Strict uniformity. The sin of the generation of the dispersion, that's what we call them, of the Tower of Babel, was that they endeavored to be strictly homogeneous. In other words, they built their tower to symbolize their unity, but it was a unity of totalitarianism, as in the former Soviet Union. It was a unity of conformity. And as a result, the members of the human race, says Rav Ahron, would soon be reduced to machines. So, to counteract this movement, Hashem confused and dispersed the people so that they could not succeed in this attempt. And Rav Ahron says this is actually the message of the rainbow, of diversity following the flood. There is always a danger of conformity and uniformity. How does this present itself? Well, sometimes we're in a time where people are talking about herd immunity from the coronavirus, but there's a different type of herd immunity, and that is people feel that they are immune from criticism if their opinions are identical to those of everyone else, of the herd. This isn't what the Torah requires, and in fact is not what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. The Jewish people's magnum opus, the Talmud Bavli, is nothing if it's not a record of differing opinions, differing positions, looking at things from different perspectives, because it is diversity of opinion, not diversity of appearance, not diversity of ethnicity. It's diversity of opinion, of thought, that can lead to truth. The story is told, I heard this from Rabbi Soloveichik about his great-grandfather, Reb Chaim Soloveichik. Chaim Soloveichik was invited by the organizers of the Agudas Yisrael to their founding conferences. I learned later it was 1909, 1912. He was invited to the Moetzes Gadol to be a member of, perhaps lead, the Moetzes Gedolei Torah, the Council of Torah Sages. But he refused, and he rejected participations. And family members relate that Reb Chaim gave the following analogy to explain his opposition to the Moetzes, and maybe simply his opposition to participating in the Moetzes. I'm not clear on that. But he said, in the old times in Brisk, everyone had a candle in their home. They had fire in the home by which to see at night. And if the candle went out, then it was out in that in that home. Maybe people could borrow candles from their neighbors. I don't know. But at least it was, if the candle was out in a house, it was out in the house. The problem, a problem developed, though, when they built central generation of electricity. When they built an electric power station to supply light to the entire city at once. Then, at that point, once the power station failed, the lights were out in the entire city. The analogy is that when you have a demand for uniformity of opinion and you do not allow for dissent and for expressions of individuality, you quickly end up risking total darkness. There's a famous medrash about Sodom. The medrash describes the bed that the people of Sodom maintained, in which any newcomer was ushered into. And if he was too short, if he did not fill the entire bed, he was stretched. They would stretch him to fit the bed. And if he was too long, they would cut off his legs. And Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky said that this is similar to what some of our own institutions do, such as schools, not all schools, but many schools, who demand absolute conformity without giving any room for individuality or individual expression, that if you don't fit, they cut off your legs. And my brother, Ahron Yosef Prero, Zichron Levracha, told me that Rav Yitzchak Hutner commented on Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky's observation, and he said, they both had quick wits. Rav Hutner's was a bit acerbic at times, and he said, the schools are worse than Sodom. Why? Because in Sodom, they would cut off your legs. In the schools, they cut off your head. I don't intend to criticize schools generally, and certainly no school in specific. But there is a danger whenever you deal with organized life that people seek herd immunity, and sometimes institutions or societies demand it. We should be able to live and to embrace each other, not despite our differences, but because of our differences. And as a final note, if anyone has a chavrusa, if anyone learns Torah, and your chavrusa, your Torah partner, agrees with everything you say all the time, then you're in bad shape. We need to be able to enlighten each other with our individual perspectives and our individual personalities. The desire to do the opposite, says the Rashbam, according to Rav Ahron's understanding, was the sin of the Dor Haflaga. We are charged to make sure that that does not happen to us. Have a good Shabbos.